Good morning, everybody. I wanted to make a quick video for you on how to roast coffee. I've been promising this for a while and people have been asking me, but I haven't really had time to share. So I just roasted off about a pound, just shy of a pound of Kenyan coffee, which ended up selling some of it and also drinking it all last week. So I roasted off some more, and you can actually see that right here. That's hanging out right on my stovetop. It's just cooling there. But I have this Colombia coffee, and I want to share with you on how what my process is, because I get these from Sweet Maria's. This is the Colombian coffee. I have not tried this one yet, so I'm not going to roast off all of it, or even a half pound. I'm just going to roast off a half a cup, and a half a cup roughly is 2.5 ounces or 2.75 ounces, right? So I just want to show you guys something. There's a couple things to know when you're roasting coffee, and if you have questions, please feel free to follow up with me. But when you're roasting coffee, and I'm heating up my Whirley Pop. This is the equipment, the only equipment I use when roasting coffee. And I've checked in with different Facebook groups and such, and asked people questions about roasting coffee. And I asked them, like, is there anybody that's just using this? Because I can roast up to a pound of coffee at one time in this. And if you're a coffee drinker, you know how long a pound of coffee lasts. So if you are just like somebody who's just starting out roasting, this is a great $30 investment, and you'll never have to get another roaster for maybe ever. So anyway, I got this Colombia coffee, and I wanted to tell you something about it, right? So there's all different kinds of roasting temperatures. You can download something like this. I know everything's backwards because I'm on live and I'm looking at the camera so I can see what I'm doing. So your beans are green to start, which is what we see here, right? And then as you roast and as the bean starts to heat up, it starts to turn color, right? But it's not officially coffee. It's not drinkable until you've gone through first crack. So this is where it says first crack starts. And then right here it says first crack done. That is where you're drinkable. That's basically a light roast coffee, a very light roast. And then you go beyond that. And each one of these takes anywhere from, in order to go beyond this, can take anywhere from 30 seconds to maybe a minute. And the next thing you know, you're in city roast. The next thing you know, you're in city plus roast. And then you're in a full city roast, and then you're full city plus, which is second crack. I'll explain what a crack is in a second. And then once you've gone there, you're in basically like a light French roast or a French roast. A French roast, like a full French, is just a dark roast. First crack and second crack. First crack basically means that when you're roasting your coffee, you're going to experience this when I'm doing this with you. Because the reason also I'm doing such a small amount, a small batch amount, is because this is only going to take 4 minutes, roughly, maybe 5 minutes to do at such a small amount. I'm heating up my pan. I'm actually going to lower it down a little bit because I'm smoking hot. That's too hot. I don't want to get that thing going. I've got it up to like 530, and I needed it about 400 and something. So I'm going to kill it for a second and let it cool down. So first crack basically means when your beans are heating up, they start to release water, moisture. That release of moisture sounds like popcorn popping or kind of like crackling fire. And that is them releasing their water and kind of exploding out of them. And so that's called first crack. And so once all of them have cracked, then they are all ready to be drank as coffee, right? Second crack is then another release of moisture, but further down the line, and it usually takes about, another anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, roughly, of roasting past first crack before you actually get into your full French roast. Now, if you go past French roast, you're just going to, you're burning your coffee. If you experience like Starbucks coffee, most of the time they do French roast, because they use cheap beans and they source so many of them, and they're grown at such low altitudes because they churn really fast. They don't really have much of a flavor profile. However, so they roast it to like a dark roast, and basically everything tastes the same. It just tastes like just burnt coffee, you know. I'm a little bit of a coffee snob, and if you're following me, then you're a bit of a coffee snob as well. And frankly, you know, chances are Starbucks black coffee is disgusting to you as well. Anyway, here's the cool thing about Sweet Marie's, and I know again this is backwards. They give you a little bit of insight as to how these beans can be utilized perfectly, right? Because they've done this and they've tested them. So they say this bean says city to full city plus, right? So if we're looking at our chart here, we have city to full city. City is basically just past first crack, and then full city plus is all the way to second crack. So basically, this bean has a really good profile from anywhere from light roast to a darker roast, or just shy of a dark roast, and it'll still taste good. And here are the flavor profiles we're going to see. Underlying burned sugar sweetness, accents of dried apricot, baked apple, bittersweet base notes as at deeper roast levels, apple-like acidity across a wide roast range. Okay, so I'm gonna get this baby fired back up again. I've already got it measured out to 2.75 ounces. We're gonna bring the temperature up in this pan to, I'm at 300 right now, up to about 400 and roughly 400 or so. And if you don't have one of these little laser thermometers, that's cool. Don't worry about it. All you're waiting for is your pan to start smoking. That's it. And once it starts smoking, you're good. Roughly. And I'll show you exactly, and I'll tell you temperature, but you'll know. Also, once you start cooling your beans, I'm gonna take you outside and show you, because there's something that beans release called chaff, and it basically, here you can see some in my sink. You see those little particles? That's called chaff. And basically what chaff looks like, or the texture of it, is like you know, the outside of a peanut, you know, that little red coating outside of a peanut when when you're cracking them out of a shell. That's basically what chaff is, and that's the texture of chaff. So we're starting to smoke here. I'm at 460 degrees, that fast, and we're gonna start turning. I'm gonna get my timer going on my little coffee gator, and I'm gonna start spinning here. Oh, my timer didn't start, and I'm gonna start spinning. If you get stuck, then just shimmy around. It's so funny because when I first started, I was just doing this much coffee. My paper's probably gonna light on fire. I was just doing this much coffee, and now it seems like there's nothing in the pit. It's a tiny little bit, and I'm gonna do my best. You should do your best at not opening this up as much as possible, because you want the heat to stay in there. You want the temperature of the beans to start to rise, and if you don't do that, then if you keep opening it, it's just going to slow the process down. And you want it consistent. You want a nice, consistent roast. So I do this thing here where I spin, and then I shimmy, and I spin, and then I do like a pancake flip. And I want to show you something else, a little secret that I found. If you think about your fire underneath your stove, right, like this, you see the fire there? If I center this, then all the heat's right in the middle. But if I put it off to the side here, and I ride the edge of my Whirley Pop with the fire, then only one side of my pan is hot, and the other side's a little cooler, which gives those beans a little bit of, it gives the beans a little bit of kind of, I'm going to lower this a tiny bit because I know there's not a lot in there. I'm going to come down to a medium flame, but it gives the beans a little break. Oh, I heard a crack already. We're at 1:40. I just want to make sure I'm not getting too hot too fast. I'm adjusting. Did you hear that? That was a little pop. And as it gets, it'll be a little more noticeable in a second. But I'm already, all right, I gotta get in here close for you guys to see this. Ah, come on. All right, I wanna get tight and I'll tip it. So I wanna show you the color, how the color is changing. You see that? Can you see the color changing? It's not green anymore. They're like a lighter yellowish. And I'm gonna lower it again because I don't want it to go too fast. There's a crackle. There you go. You got that creaking. There, you heard that. I'm sure, I hope you can hear that. There you go. So now we're getting into the first crack. We're at 3 minutes on the clock. Yeah, looking good. Once it starts to crackle, I try to be gentle with it because I don't want to go too fast because I want everybody. There's a good sound. Now we're into the crack, officially. Again, I'm going to bring the heat down a tiny bit. And I'm going to take you through the process here. Pancake flip. This is really easy to do at home. We're at 3 minutes and 45 seconds, guys. Again, if you have questions, please fire them off in the comments. I'll do my best if I can answer them. We're at 4 minutes. First crack started around 3 minutes, so about a minute. Like officially was getting into it about 3 minutes. You might have a rogue green bean that starts, a few that start cracking a little early. We're going to take a peek in. I'm going to give you a little peek in. You can see they're already starting to get nice and dark and roasted. And we're almost there. I'm going to pull this one right at a city roast, which is right after this crack is done, which I'm not really hearing it anymore. So I think we're done. I'm going to kill the heat. Let's bring you up. Bring you over to the kitchen sink. This is how you do. You just drop it in. Yep, that looks pretty good. Let's go to this. See? I'm going to bring you outside. Oh. Ah. Sorry. Hope you're not motion sick. All right. I'm going to tighten this up. Try not to speed around. I normally would be kind of like hustling out. I don't want my beans to overcook, over roast. And here's, you're gonna see, I want you to watch for stuff to, see that stuff kind of coming off? That's the chaff. This is perfectly cooked, like perfectly roasted. We're right at a city roast. It's got a few little light ones in there. It's got a few little darker ones in there, but basically it's there. I'm gonna blow and see if I can get a few more of the chaff off. Not too much. There's nothing in there. And now let's bring it inside, because that's it. That's all you have to do. It's really that simple. I'm doing some construction in the back, obviously, as you can tell. Let's see. Let's try not to destroy my beans as I come in. Okay. So, now, all you do after this is you grab a sheet pan. I got a little one here. You dump them out. And that's it. Look at that. You let them cool. Got it? You let them cool. Right now these actually, I wonder if like I can get close enough where you can see like how well done these are. I'm gonna touch it on the screen and see if it focuses. There you go. So you can see like how nicely, these are right to the first crack, like right past first crack. This one, which is the Kenyan one that I made, and obviously this was one batch. And actually this is good. I wanna show you this. This is one batch. And I'm gonna pull out another sheet pan to protect myself from making a complete fucking mess. But that one batch yielded, it was exactly 14 ounces when I started. And this is what I want you guys to kind of understand, is that the weight of the bean going in is not necessarily the weight of the bean when you're done roasting. So I'm going to pour this in here. Once it's in here, I'm going to pour it back in there, so it's just an easier pour, because it's kind of difficult to pour from this sheet pan. I always have one or two stragglers that basically make it to the floor. Okay, so let's stop the timer, reset this. I just want to show you guys. So this was exactly 14 ounces last time when I had this weighed, and I know you can't see these. Well, you can see the numbers, but let's see where we end. And now we've lost basically 1.78 ounces. So 1.78 ounces were lost when I roasted 14 ounces. So it came down to 12.22, right? Is that what I said? Yeah, 12.22. So this is, now when you're doing these, now when you store them, here's what I usually store them in. I keep these old jars, right? This was a pickle jar. I keep these old jars. I put I dump it in here, and then I just put a little label on them and let myself know when I've completed it, right? Like what the roast date was. And normally, and this is why I had to do this, normally on my little kitchen stand there, I'll have anywhere from one roast to, I'm not even kidding you, 6 different roasts going at the same time. And so what I'll do, because this only took, I forget what we pulled it off at, but I think we pulled it off 4 minutes. This only took 4 minutes, right? And this, now, it's cool already. This was 2.7 ounces. I'm gonna put this will be an easy pour. Let's lighten this back up again. Remember, this was 2.7, and now this is going to be obviously lighter. And let's see how much we lost in terms of weight. So from 2.7 to 2.36. Obviously, with lighter loads, you're not going to lose. But basically, what I found that if you want to make 8 ounces of coffee, you want to roast 9.5 of green beans, and that'll land you somewhere between 8 to 8.15. And so that's how you roast your coffee, guys. And this, by the way, doesn't smell like anything. This doesn't smell like anything yet, but in about 3 hours, it'll smell really good. That's something that I want you guys to understand when you roast your coffee. It's not ready to be drank right now. I can't drink this probably until tomorrow. 24 hours later, it's really good. 48 hours later, even better. 72 hours later, you've reached your peak of the flavor, the coffee, and then after that, it starts to diminish if it's not kept in a sealed container. In a jar, it's fine, but it's still at 10 days. Fresh roasted coffee starts to kind of lose its specialties, like its specialness. This Kenyan, just FYI, this Kenyan coffee that I roasted, it has definite intense acidity, berry characters, fresh cranberries, raspberries, and like this hint of lemongrass and chamomile, which it's amazing because these guys are spot on at Sweet Marie's. So you could buy this stuff. Sweet Marie's coffee, you'll spend anywhere from $6 to $9 for a pound. But these $9, if you're spending $9 a pound on coffee there, that's going to be coffee that's $30 a pound anywhere else. So just don't roast a lot at a time. That's the only thing I'll recommend to you. Roast like I did today, maybe 2 ounces at a time. You can get sample packs or little 1 or 2 pound bags, and you can just practice and practice and practice, and you're going to get really good. And now I feel comfortable enough to roast any kind of bean, and I've got an eye for the different roasting profiles. So anyway, that was my little tutorial. I hope that was helpful. how you roast your own beans at home. All right, guys, talk to you later.